You don't have to look very far to discover a terrible truth. That humans can be terrible. There is evidence everywhere. You've seen it. You've seen the man at the corner being ignored. You've seen the employee just trying to survive. You've seen the woman being yelled at for the tiniest little thing. You've experienced it. You've experienced somebody cutting you off on the freeway. You've experienced being yelled at for that tiny little thing. You've experienced the brokenness and the hurt of this world. We are distant as human beings. We are fractured and broken, and we are refusing to be vulnerable with one another. And as that reality becomes more and more, and we realize that we're living that reality, we forget that we have another choice. Ephesians 4:1-6 comes at the peak of Paul's message in the book of Ephesians. A peak of the message that began with humanity being broken and climaxed at this point where Paul says, we are not alone. You see, we are not alone because though we have individual salvation, we are saved into a community. A grace that saves us into a community. That is what we have been given. Ephesians 4:1-6 reads like this. I, therefore, a prisoner in the Lord, beg you to lead a life worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all humanity and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, making every effort to maintain the unity of the Spirit and the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to the one hope of your calling. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in all. Paul has not made any command in the entire book of Ephesians until this moment. The first command of Paul to the church in Ephesus is about community. It's about unity. That's not a mistake. Paul has led his audience to this point and calls us to 4 things. He calls us to patience, humility, gentleness, and love. These 4 things are all about living in community. Patience is about dealing with the people that we find the most annoying. Gentleness is about recognizing the value in other people. And humility is about recognizing our own brokenness, our own vulnerabilities, our own weaknesses. Love wraps those up into how we can be in community. This is a wonderful message that Paul is saying. He's saying that yes, it's going to be hard. He's not saying that the Christian life is going to be an easy one. Instead, he's saying that it's one that we get to do together. Paul seems to recognize the fact that that community is still going to be hard. That community is not going to be given to us. But that community is going to be given from an amazing representation of what unity is supposed to be. The Trinity. In this passage, you have God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit being at one, being in unity in the Trinity, and then that is where our unity comes from. But our unity is an imperfect one. The Trinity's unity is perfect, but now we live in an imperfect community that requires us to live in patience and gentleness and humility. Paul's words are summed up in just a few. They're summed up like this. You have been saved to be broken together. You see, we are not healed, we are still healing. Our journey is not complete, and yet we have chosen to live broken together. That's the beauty of being called Christian. That's the beauty of being in a Christian community. That we can still be imperfect, that we can still be broken, that we can still be healing, and yet we can choose to live in unity.